What's up, everyone? Jason Gelbo here with Rob Mazika, taking a look at tonight's NBA slate. Decent one. I mean, a lot of high totals. We got the Celtics on St. Patrick's Day, always the narrative there. But we also, some news with Dwayne Wade being out, Eric Bledsoe sitting down for the year. So, a lot's kind of changing here.
Yeah, it's the time of the year where players are going to be shutting down some of their stars and just running with the younger guys. So it's going to open up a ton of value over these last couple weeks, and makes it easy for you to make lineups, though, and get an edge on the field.
Yeah, there's a lot of value on tonight's slate. So, I don't necessarily mind going stars and scrubs, especially with that Houston game.
I don't mind it either. There's no Westbrook to pay up for, so I'm a little lost at the stars.
Chicago, Washington, first one here. John Wall is playing tonight. So, we'll start the Washington side real quick. You and I had the same kind of approach. They all just seemed really too expensive. And with that backcourt, with a lot of the value being there, I don't know why I necessarily need to pay up, though.
I don't think it's necessary to pay up for Bradley Beal, especially on FanDuel, where his price is $8,500. He just needs like 40 real points to hit his value, to be honest. With John Wall in the mix tonight, I was hoping he'd be out so we'd have Brandon Jennings or someone. But with him playing, everyone's really priced too high.
And the front court's been really inconsistent, too. Otto Porter's always a shot in the dark. I basically don't like anyone as far as pricing goes on the Washington side, but Chicago, obviously Jimmy Butler, I don't mind. I don't think he's a must play, even with Wade out, but I don't mind him.
He's not a must play, but he's going to come in very high owned, though, in all formats. His usage, it skyrockets without Wade in the floor. I'm really looking towards value guy in Denzel Valentine tonight. He's been getting the minutes lately, around 28 minutes per game. He might get up to 30 tonight. And with Wade off, he's going to really get a bump in usage, and he might get over 30 minutes tonight. At 4K on DraftKings, I don't mind the value play there.
Yeah, coming off a couple nice games. 11-7-3 and 11-5-2. So, has shown that he actually can play a little bit. It's not a bad spot either.
No, not at all. Washington's weak against the wings. And then one more player on the Bulls, Rajon Rondo, another player who gets a bump with Wade out. And he's really been playing well lately after that whole fiasco where he was sitting like crazy.
Yeah, and I was off him against the Memphis game. Even though tough matchup against Mike Conley, tough matchup against John Wall, I think because he does it all, he becomes a safer play.
Definitely. Triple-double upside, too.
I think the only other guy that I have some interest in GPPs is Mirotic. One, he's cheap. I'm hoping he kind of flies under the radar. Washington does struggle against the wings and power forwards. Back-to-back strong games, but you can't always rely on it in cash games.
No, not in cash games, but he's definitely a nice tournament play.
Dallas Philly next one here, 204 total. On the Dallas side, I like Dirk, always a good cash game guy, always in that mid-range price. If this game stays close, we've actually seen some decent Dirk upside too.
Yeah, Dirk, we've seen him have some big games this year. He's always a safe play, though. We got J.J. Barea coming. He finally came back from injury, starting to get his minutes back up. 20 minutes last game. He had 13 assists in those 20 minutes. And the easy matchup against Philly, I really like him as a cheap value.
Yeah, I do too. He's really cheap. He's another value guard you can look towards tonight. I think everyone else there is a little bit too expensive, like Barnes, like Curry. I kind of prefer other names in the pricing range.
Yeah, I'm on one guy, though, pretty heavily. Nerlens Noel's first game back in Philly tonight since the trade. We've seen him have 50 fantasy point upside before, and Philly's actually been the worst team in the NBA lately against centers. So it's definitely a spot where Noel could absolutely go off if he gets the time.
Yeah, that's where he has to get the time. Minutes have kind of fluctuated around, 23, 16, 35. I don't know. I feel like he's a little bit too pricey for me. I like other centers and taking some shots with guys like Zubac and also some guys in that Phoenix game.
Yeah, I think I'm going to ride the narrative, though. And then on the Philly side, Dario Saric is really the only guy I'm looking at.
Yeah, he's absolutely been crushing it. Once again, I don't care about his high price tag. This guy's shown he can pay it off, and one, he does a little bit of everything.
Yeah, rookie of the year, and he is this team right now. So,
and anyone else on 76ers? I didn't have any names I was looking at.
Nah, no one for me.
Toronto, Detroit, and this one, 200 total. I think this is probably your worst game of the night.
Yeah, I'm off this game completely. DeRozan, it's a tough matchup. His price is high. It's a low total. I think I'm just going to stay away.
Yeah, I am too. I mean, I know Corey Joseph's cheap, but there's far better cheap guys as far as guards to go after. I think one note that I did see was that Tobias Harris was going to come back into the lineup for the remainder of the season. Um, Probably just a GPP shot for me at the most if I'm picking anyone from this game.
Same here.
Boston, Brooklyn here, 218 total, and Boston, I mean, a good spot and kind of a good time to lose Isaiah Thomas for a couple games because they just play the Nets and the Knicks.
Yeah, no Isaiah Thomas tonight. A ton of usage to go around with this Boston team, and I'm interested in pretty much everyone in the starting five. Favorite is Marcus Smart, just because he's going to step right in, and he's probably going to be pretty chalky too.
And I like him a lot because he's shooting guard eligible. Really nice price tag on DraftKings at 4,900. Priced up a lot on FanDuel at 6,300, but I don't mind him because he's still shooting guard.
Yeah, FanDuel's a little tougher, but DraftKings, it's a plug and play for me at shooting guard, just because you could fit in 4-point guards if he's with that dual position eligibility.
And, basically everyone gets a bump in usage. I mean, I don't mind Al Horford, who's starting to come around. Great spot for him. He does a little bit of everything. As far as other guys, I mean, I feel like Avery Bradley's a little bit more expensive than I like him to be. I'm probably just actually going to reserve him more for GPPs and just stick with Smart.
I agree, but I think he'll come in a little lower owned, so it's a nice tournament play if you want to go there.
And on the Brooklyn side, I mean, come off a back-to-back here. Trevor Booker did rest yesterday. We got Kilpatrick, who likely out tonight with a hamstring issue. LeVert probably a decent value.
Yeah, it's tough to predict these Nets coming off a back-to-back, and they don't like to play their guys more than 25 minutes in the game typically. Hollis Jefferson and LeVert are probably your safest options tonight, even with Booker back, but it's really tough to predict them.
Yeah, it is. And Lynn, I'm not really on Lynn tonight, just getting the Marcus Smart defense. And I just think there's, other point guards like Tyler Ulis, so I'm a big fan of. I prefer him over Lynn.
Yeah, there's a ton of guys I prefer over Lynn. He's definitely a nice cash game option, though, if you want to use him.
Anyone else there?
No, not really.
Minnesota, Miami, and 205 total. I feel like this one's a good GPP game because I think it's going to fly under the radar and you're going to get some lower ownership. But I feel like a lot of these guys are a little bit too expensive. I know Whiteside is a guy you're on, but only DraftKings only.
Yeah, DraftKings only. FanDuel's price is too high at 8,700, but 8,100 on DraftKings with the double bonus. He definitely could pay off that price tag easily against Towns, who's going to have some big games to opposing centers. And then I like Towns, too, on the other side.
I'm looking at the guards here. I mean, Ricky Rubio playing really well. Goran Dragic also playing really well. These guys, I think they're going to get a little bit lower ownership. Probably not Rubio so much just because of his recent play, but they might drop a little bit just because there are so many guard options.
I agree, but in tournaments, I definitely wouldn't argue against you if you wanted to go like a Rubio Town stack or a Dragic Whiteside stack.
No, I wouldn't either, especially because it's going to come in lower owned.
Yeah,
Houston, New Orleans here. This one's a big one, 229. Pelicans at home, just 5-point underdogs. I mean, it's weird. We've seen Harden come off, some good matches before. Haven't really seen quite the ceiling in some of them. But this one I think actually stays close.
I think it does. Back-to-back triple doubles for Harden. I think he ends up being the highest scoring player in the night. He's shown a massive upside before. Pelicans, they're really bad against defending guards, and he can just pretty much have his way against this team.
Yeah, I mean, I like him a lot on DraftKings. The turnovers have just absolutely killed him on FanDuel. I mean, 9, 4, 6, 6, 7, 5, 7 over his last 5 games. That's probably my concern with the price tag, which I actually think Giannis is a good GPP pivot off of him.
Yeah, you could pair them both on tonight with all the value too.
Yeah, you really could. But as far as the secondary options on this Houston team, I mean, I like him in tournament mode. I'm not a big fan of Capella tonight just because, one, New Orleans has been a little bit tougher on centers.
Yeah, he has been. The other side, though, the big men on New Orleans are the way to go.
Yeah, I like him a lot, and Cousins still at that discount. If you're getting a premium player, and I feel like the upside's going to actually be there tonight.
Definitely. Houston's giving up massive games to opposing centers, and Cousins and Davis, they both share the role, but Cousins is cheaper, and I'm looking towards him in tournaments on DraftKings at least.
As far as the guard situation in New Orleans, I mean, Drew Holiday off my radar tonight, but 2 of the cheaper shooting guards you can look at in GPPs.
Yeah, there's Jordan Crawford, who we've been using lately. He's only played the 4 or 5 games or whatever, but he's hit his value pretty much almost every game. I like Eton Moore as a pivot just in tournaments. It's risky, but there's always a chance that he does get more run than Crawford, and he's going to come in a lot lower owned.
And we're looking at this game. I mean, 112 total. There's going to be enough to go around.
Yeah, definitely. They're going to be. It could be the highest scoring game of the night.
Yeah. Orlando Phoenix. This one's a good one. I feel like basically, if you want mid-range plays and great spots, this is the game for you.
Yeah, Tyler Ulis is going to be probably the highest on point guard in the slate tonight, but I really can't argue against it.
No, I can't either. I mean, good spot here against Orlando. TJ Warren, who's been just a consistent mid-range guy, shooting around 60% over his last 10 games. And then Devin Booker as well. I mean, although you don't need to always pay up at shooting guard, he's still at a price tag that's pretty decent, going to pick up a usage bump without Bledsoe.
I agree. With Bledsoe being shut down for the year, Phoenix, they're going to try to run their younger guys a little more. So I like all those guys.
I think the only other name that I like on the Sun side is Williams here at center. Priced up a little bit, but in a good spot. I mean, I think he's a consistent option here over his last stretch of games. I mean, a good fantasy points per minute guy, and he's usually hovering around 25 minutes per game.
He's a good player. Came out of nowhere, but could pretty much is a walking double-double every game.
On the Orlando side, not worried about the back-to-back, given the fact that their starters basically played about 25 minutes last night.
I'm not worried either, so I'm looking towards Peyton, Gordon, and Vucevic are my main options.
Yep, I am too. I don't see any real need to use a Ross or a Fournier tonight. They're just not enough peripheral stats for them to kind of get them over the hump.
I agree. They're pretty much just pure scorers at this point. Peyton showed the huge upside in his last couple of games, though, with the triple doubles and just having these massive games. But I like him. I like Vucevic. He's cheap price. And then Gordon, he's been playing well too.
Yeah, I mean, those three are probably my trio, and I feel fine with actually them in cash games too. I mean, Peyton I always kind of viewed as a GPP guy, but I actually don't mind him tonight.
I personally can't trust him in cash, but you're a little more risk tolerant than I am tonight.
As far as Milwaukee and Lakers go, last one here, 214. I'm looking at Giannis here in Middleton. Probably my only two options on this Milwaukee side.
Yeah, Giannis and Middleton are probably your safest options. It's really tough to predict this front court with, Greg Monroe getting 30 minutes, then getting 10 minutes. It's just not worth the hassle of trying to guess it, and you could pick someone a little safer with more upside. So Giannis is probably the way to go.
Yeah, I mean, I like him a lot. I mean, in a really good spot. I feel like Middleton's a good cash game guy. I don't know if he quite has the GPP upside for me, but I do like him in cash games.
I like him in cash too, both websites too. He's priced pretty fairly. Cheaper on DraftKings, but it's a good spot for him against the Lakers.
Yeah, and as far as the Lakers go, I mean, Julius Randle's been on an absolute tear and still at a reasonable price.
I love this Lakers front court, Randle and Zubac. Randle, we've seen his upside before, and he's got that triple-double upside, which I love on DraftKings. And then Zubac, he's going to be starting every game the rest of the season. I know he only played 11 minutes last game, but he was in foul trouble. So that might lower his ownership a little bit.
Yeah, it definitely will. And I think one in a good spot, Milwaukee, bottom 5 in fantasy points allowed against centers, bottom 10 in rebounding. So, I mean, Randle Zubac should have a nice game tonight. Zubac is probably just GPP only for me.
Yeah, same here with this foul trouble that could happen at any time. In the backcourt, I like Jordan Clarkson. He's been playing well lately, especially on FanDuel, where it's only 5,600. It's a nice price over there. And then Brandon Ingram, he's a solid play over on FanDuel as well, where his price just doesn't rise.
No, it's always at that, 44, 4,500 range. He's 44 tonight. And definitely just FanDuel only where you get the roster too, and he's cheaper.
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't mind playing him on FanDuel. DraftKings, there's no chance at 5K I'll touch him, but he's really shot dependent, so that's my problem with him.
Yeah, the only thing I like about him is that he just logs heavy minutes because he needs all of them basically to hit value anyway.
Yeah, unfortunately.
What do you see about Russell tonight? I mean, I feel like one of these games he's eventually going to go off. One, because he's been either coming off the bench and his shot hasn't been falling.
It's a tough one. I mean, his minutes are trending down 33, 28, 25 last 3 games. They're really giving more run to the rest of the team. Tournaments, I could see using him, but cash, there's no way.
I mean, I get as far as the minutes go. I mean, one, foul trouble last time against Houston, blowout against Denver. I still feel like he's going to flirt with around 30, 32 minutes anyway, but it's kind of high risk, high reward at this point.
Yeah, I mean, he has shown huge upside. It's just it's only in the right spots, and I'm not sure if this is the right spot.
That's going to wrap it up here. If you want to head on over to DaveFantasyCafe.com, you can check out our great tools and content.
Yep, good luck.